I'm talking about when I refer to them.
Okay, cool. And so I am now legally obligated to let you know that you are being recorded.
Yep.
Cool, man. So let's just go ahead and get rolling. So, Daria Brown, what is going on? How are you doing tonight?
Hey, Dr. Jim. It's been a long time we've been planning this, so it's great to finally be here and chat with you about fitness, faith, and finance.
I know, man. The 3 F's inside the cube. You know, I think we're probably going to focus mostly on fitness tonight.
Yeah.
But you never know, what direction things might go in. And so we'll just kind of have some fun with it. Because your fitness journey, like your story, man, it's so inspirational and it's so cool that I just can't wait for you to kind of share it with the audience here, man. It's going to be awesome.
Cool. Well, it's funny for me to hear that because I don't think it's all that exciting compared to, for instance, your story. When you see some pictures of you when you're younger and you see your transformation, I mean, I lost a measly 10 pounds. So to me, it's not that exciting. But at the same time, I know there are a lot of people in my shoes who really want to lose that last 10 pounds and, like me, really struggled to do it. So I finally figured out how to do it with your help, of course, and so that's what we're going to talk about.
Well, thank you. You're too kind. My story and kind of where it started for me was a wild ride in and of itself. But you're right. I mean, losing those whether you're losing 10 pounds or 50 pounds or 80, it doesn't even matter, right? Just getting into that mindset and kind of getting into the mode where you're taking it really, really seriously. And especially for you, like actually getting out there and getting on stage, like I can't wait to talk about that. But let's not put the cart before the horse, man.
All right.
From a fitness standpoint, like, you kind of just alluded to it a little bit, but talk a little bit more about like, why was it so important for you to, lose the last 10 pounds? Like what has been kind of like your history when it comes to finance? Like give us all kind of the backstory of Daria Brown when it comes to fitness.
Sure. Well, I've been active since I was a kid. Since I was 7, I played tennis and I was a runner. So I was on the cross country team at school from grade 2. So I did that every year, cross country and track. I was on the tennis team in high school. I played privately in local tournaments and stuff like that. And then I guess it was sometime around the mid-'80s when I was a teenager, I somehow, that's when teenage boys get all their testosterone and they start going to the gym and talking about the gym. And I remember the first time I remember really hearing about the gym was really in grade 13, which doesn't even exist anymore, even in Ontario.
Grade 13. So yeah. So just so that all of my viewers know, you're from Canada, right? So everything is different, like kilometers and like all that kind of crazy stuff. So that's grade right. 13, that would be
after grade 12. After grade 12,
obviously.
So it's the final year of high school, and all the guys were working out and stuff. And I remember going to the gym with my boyfriend at the time, and then the next year I went to university, and I remember joining this place called Gold's Gym, which is probably still there. I don't even know. But at the same time, I also became an aerobics teacher. So I was really interested in staying active, and I was also running, not with any university team, but just because I enjoyed running. And so I remember at that time, and that I would have been like 19 years old, thinking to myself, I would like to do a bodybuilding show one day. I really liked this look on chicks.
Mm-hmm. There you go. There it is. The front double bicep. You are now the first guest I've ever had to do a front double bicep on the show. Right. So that's pretty awesome. And a double front double bicep. There you go. Nice.
So I didn't want to look like you. I didn't want to look like...
I don't take that personally. I
didn't want to look like some of the women that, literally look like men. But I wanted to look like Linda Hamilton in The Terminator, right? I wanted to, and then, moving along further, I would say I've done weights off and on ever since then. So I think I've had a steady personal trainer for about 15 years. And it's not like I was doing it all the time. Like before, my child is now 10. Before he was born, a friend of mine from high school is a personal trainer in Toronto, so he would come over to the condo where I lived and we would work out. But I would say it'd maybe be 4 or 5 times a month at the most. And it was enough to sort of sustain me and keep me fit. And I also had run 2 half marathons right before I got pregnant. So I've always done these kinds of fun runs, 5Ks, 10Ks, and then in my late 20s, I did a couple of mini triathlons just for the fun of it with a colleague from work. And so I liked the idea of having these goals, like a race or something to train for, and then doing it. And it really gave me a sense of accomplishment because I was never really, I never played basketball or volleyball or soccer, any of the team sports. I always found that doing these kinds of things really gave me the sense of accomplishment, and doing those were exciting. And then when I went on to do the half marathons, I was really excited about that too, because another thing I had always wanted to do was run the Boston Marathon. Now that I've changed my mind, because the 2 half marathons practically, I wouldn't say they killed me because I did quite well, but 2 hours is about the maximum I could push my body. I couldn't imagine going 4. However, I would like to do a full marathon maybe next year if I can. But I'm going to run, walk, because, body's approaching 50. I don't want to ruin my knees and joints. But I think the point is that I've always had fitness as a part of my extracurricular activities aside from school and then my career. So that's always been important to me. And we had a child who had a severe medical tragedy, severe brain inflammation, and in his recovery, we discovered he's autistic. And so it's been quite a challenge with him. And we moved out to the suburbs to be near a good school that we found for him. And I went from walking everywhere, because if anyone has autistic kids or knows autistic kids, they have sensory issues. And my little guy would not sit in the stroller, and he would not sit in the car seat. So he was strapped to me every minute of it, everywhere. I would go in grocery shopping, he was strapped to me, and I loved it because he's a cute little bundle, like your little Eli, right? Isn't it just great just holding him? And they're so cute and chubby. It is. Squeezing those cheeks.
There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it.
There really is nothing like it. And my little guy was the cutest. Oh, he's still adorable. But, I just adored him. I loved having him strapped to me. And then the stroller, I had the stroller where everything could fit underneath. So we'd go walk around downtown get our groceries, get this, get that. And then we move out to the suburbs, and now he's too big for a stroller, and I'm sitting all day long doing no exercise. And I found a personal trainer driving around. It had the ad on it, so I called them up, and again, he came maybe 4 or 5 times a month, and I just noticed that the weight kept coming on, and I was like, I'm exercising, I'm going for walks. I did try and run now and then. I found a running group here, ran with them a few times over the last year. And it was just really hard to get into a routine of doing something consistently. And so when you advertised the full Throttle Fat Loss beta program, I was like, I should do this. Even though...
Hey, quick little shameless plug for my fitness course, Full Throttle Fat Loss, that launched in the beta form was last fall. September, yeah. Now the full throttle form is out there. But yes, you were one of the first beta testers in the group.
That's right. And you may or may not remember that even in the few weeks before, I said to you, it might have been on Twitter, because Dr. Jim and I are both on Twitter, active with the Tasty Trade community. You had said something about, you're always posting about tracking your macros and keeping track of what you eat and everything. And I do remember saying something like, yeah, I'm not interested. I'm never, ever going to do that. Like, no interest in tracking.
I remember that. I do remember that. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then within 3 weeks, there I was. My fitness pal.
There you were, weighing your blueberries. Yeah.
Exactly. And I bought a scale, and I was like, what the heck? How do you do this? I had no clue what I was doing. And should we take it from there about how my journey went through the full throttle fat loss to the...
So I definitely want to talk about that. But so the one thing that I'm really intrigued by, like listening to your backstory, and I learned some things about you that I actually didn't know. Your fitness journey kind of started with running. You kind of fell in love with running to begin with. And talk to me a little bit about like the transition from running to bodybuilding. I mean, on the timeline, there's a big jump there, but you know, we're going to talk about your first bodybuilding show here in a little bit, but you know, how did you make the transition from, you know, like you talked about, you know, having your son and moving and those kind of things. Like where do you think it changed, or what do you think changed to really motivate you to not necessarily run that much? You said you had a running group, but now you really wanted to kind of get into more of a bodybuilding kind of mindset. Like, what do you think motivated that change?
Turning 40 and one of my good friends from high school, who was my personal trainer that I mentioned in Toronto, who trains women 40 and up and even in their 60s. That's his client base in Toronto, and he trains multi-million-dollar rich people. So he's got a wide range of people that he trains, and he has the most interesting stories. But he said, like, you know, his courses he takes in that, he's specializing in women, premenopausal, menopausal, postmenopausal women, and pre-pregnancy too, like just that whole thing. And he said, you're over 40, you're a woman, you got to do weights. You absolutely have to do weights, because, you know, it just goes downhill from there. And I had already been familiar with weight training just from that original Gold's Gym and doing aerobics and then doing some weights here and there and off and on. And so when he said that, I just thought, yeah, I got to do it, because I had my child at age 38. I was almost 39 when I had him. So I wanted to stay in shape after my pregnancy, and I did a fun run when my child was 3 months old. I did a 5K, and then I did another 10K or something like that. And then I just focused on doing weights and didn't really think about the cardio too much. And then when the whole moving out to the suburbs thing started, along with watching Tasty Trade all the time, every day for the last 8 years, even before you came on. Tom,
yeah, I'm still a newbie, man. I've only been with
that's right.
3.5 years. Yeah.
That's right. And I've had the luxury of being off work, the luxury and the poverty of being off work since my son's medical incident. And I'm technically still on unpaid leave due to compassionate medical reasons for caring for him. But because we moved, it's quite a difficult process. And who knows if I'll be back as a civil servant again anytime soon. But in the meantime, watching Tasty Trade every day, Tom Sosnoff says all the time, you wake up and you're 50. And I knew that's right around the corner for me. So I just turned 49. Believe it or not, I know I only look 29.
That's it. I was going to say 25. But yeah,
all
25,
right.
29, like, yeah. I mean, that's amazing. Yeah.
I actually thought that until, well, this is a total side story. I found out that I have an older brother that I didn't know about. My parents gave up for adoption, and he has 2 daughters that when we met them were 25. And when I saw all their friends, I was like, oh, that's what 25 looks like. Okay.
25 isn't what it used to be, man.
Yeah, maybe I don't look 25.
That's so funny.
35,
oh my gosh,
maybe
that's
35.
so funny. That's really funny. Yeah.
So anyway, then yeah, I just 50's around the corner, and then seeing all of your posts about your bodybuilding and your own transformation, I will say that was inspirational to me in starting to think about, oh, he did a bodybuilding show. Oh, he did this. Oh, he did this. And then I was like, yeah, I had said I wanted to do that. And I always had in the back of my mind the last few years, like when I turn 50, I want to strut around town in a bikini and say, look at me. And I want to look like Madonna. You know how Madonna's actually well into her 60s now, and she looks amazing. And I thought, I want to look like that when I'm 50. And I just figured it's going to take a while. So last summer, I did finally transition from the personal trainer coming to my house. He actually was saying to me, you know, you could join the gym, and for the same money you're paying me for one lesson, you could be there for a month and you can go whenever you want. And I was like, yeah, but I never know what to do. Like, I don't want to have to figure that out. I'm so filled with everything else I have to do during the day. I don't want to think. And so that's exactly the timing of when your beta thing started, and you had all the workouts listed. I was like, perfect. I'm joining the gym. I'm going to do exactly this workout, this workout, this workout. I didn't have to think. I just went there, did it. And I remember speaking to the one woman there about, she said, what are your goals? And this, and I mentioned, well, you know, I'm turning 50 in a couple of years. I kind of want to do a show. And it was really interesting because the response I got from her really varied from the response I got from the next gym where I ended up training, which I go to now. She really encouraged me, and rightly so, to really sit down and think about why. Why do you want to do a show? And she said that her sister had done one and how it's really restraining. The diet is restraining. And do you really want people looking at your body, like scrutinizing every little bit of your body? And I was thinking, I don't care. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care. But she was really kind of stressing, like almost guessing that I didn't really want to do a bodybuilding show. I really wanted something else. And I said, well, I want to look like Madonna when I'm 50. And she said, well, maybe you just do a photo shoot and you have these wonderful photos of you when you're 50 looking great, but give it some thought and really think about the why behind it. And I thought, okay, whatever. And then I went through your program, and I would like to talk about that process. But when I eventually, my son's school joined forces with a local hotel that was building a new gym and offered the parents a year-long membership for like $99. I was like, oh, I'm going to try it out. And it was it was right after your program had ended. And I just went in there, this brand new gym, fancy scale. They set me on it, gave me my weight, my fat percentage, my muscle mass, my this, my that. And the trainer looked at me and said, what are your goals? Just like the woman at the previous gym. And I said, well, I know this sounds silly, but I'm turning 50 in a year and a half. And I said, so I'm starting a year and a half. I figure that'll be enough time. And she went did the up and down looking at me and said, I could have you ready this summer. And I was like, let's do it. Are you kidding? Awesome. And then she pulls out her phone and she says, here's a woman that I had the same bucket list, and here we are in Montreal. We did a show with her, and she had a medal on, and she was about your age, and I'm thinking to myself, this is the trainer for me. Like, she not only says and has confidence that she can do it, but now she's showing me proof that she's done it with someone else. So everything that she said right off the bat really made me have faith in her process, because she was talking about nutrition, she was talking about hormones, she was talking about my age. Like, I knew she knew what she was talking about. She has the certificates that she's done for nutrition and exercise science and whatever, blah blah blah. So I was just like, yes, let's do it.
so that's amazing. So I definitely want to talk about that, and I want to talk about Full Throttle too. But before we even do that, I want to interject, because you brought something up that I think is so important, that I think that I don't want to gloss over it. You know, you talked about how that first trainer at the first gym said you really need to sit down and examine what your why is. And I completely agree with that. Whether it's a bodybuilding show or looking like Madonna, or if you're a guy, you just want to be able to take your shirt off and feel confident, whatever it is, you really want to spend some time dialing that in, because that is going to help you on those days when you don't want to go, on those days when you don't want to track, on those days when you just don't want to do anything, but you know that the only way to get to your goal is these are the days when you've got to get it done. These are the days when you've just got to find a way. And if you don't have that internal engine, as I like to say, then you're not going to get it done on those days. And everybody can train when they feel amazing. Everybody is excited on day one, and energy is high and all that stuff. But what I always like to say is, how excited are you on day 100? How excited are you on day 200? Because that's what's really going to matter. And having that why locked in, like you knew your why to do a bodybuilding show for a while, that's just so strong and so cool, man. So you did the bodybuilding show, but before you did the bodybuilding show, you did go through the beta program of Full Throttle. So so talk to us a little bit about that. And if you say anything negative, don't worry, I'll just edit it out. So don't
well, I mean, I've told you this before. Anybody who's followed us on Twitter knows this from reading our tweets, but it was the biggest eye-opener in the world for me, because I kind of had this inkling in the back of my mind for a few years that it's really the nutrition piece I need to focus on. But you know what? I'm a healthy eater. I don't go crazy. Yes, I have junk food now and then, but I eat a lot of protein, I eat vegetables, I eat this, I don't overeat, everything's pretty good, so I don't have to worry about that. And you know, that little voice in the back of your head's always saying, you probably should look at that. You probably should look at that. And I had that voice in my head for months. And so once your program was set up, it really kicked me in the butt, because I was like, holy crap. I had no clue what I was eating. Oh my goodness, this was the portion size I was eating? No wonder I'd be so full that I couldn't breathe when I finished my meal. And wow, I can't believe I felt fine after only having this much food. And oh, isn't that interesting? I thought I ate tons of protein because I eat meat every day. Oh my goodness, like I eat next to nothing for someone who's lifting weights. That's not enough protein in my diet. So tracking macros, something I never in a million years thought I would do, even if you asked me last August, is now something I'm doing every day. And I gotta be honest, my husband drives my husband crazy. He stares at me and he's like, okay, enough with these stupid macros already. Spend more time on your app counting food than you do anything else in the whole day. Like, come on, that's ridiculous. And yes, I could be more organized and plan my meals better, and then I wouldn't have to figure out every day, oh, darn, where do I get 30 more grams of protein at 10 p.m. or whatever. Like, I'm not the best planner in certain areas. I'm a believer that everybody's good at something. Everybody's good at everything, but in different areas. So you can say, I'm a patient person or I'm an impatient person. Both are true, but it depends on the situation. Well, I'm a very organized person in some things. I'm very unorganized in other things. And figuring out what I'm going to eat every day is one of those things. I'm not good at grocery shopping. I'm not good at figuring out what to make for food. And so that was a real eye-opener. And if I know that you have a screenshot I sent you of a weight chart, and it's a graph that shows my weight when I started, which, let me see.
Yeah, I'll put it up. I'll put it up over the video for the YouTube audience. Absolutely, so you guys can see it. Yep. Yep.
My weight sometime in September, mid-September when I started, was 140. It went down a few pounds in the first few days, and then it went up to 142. And then it went down to 132, and then it went up to 140, and then it went down, and it was bouncing all over the place. And I was like, what the heck is going on? And I emailed Dr. Jim almost every other day, like, I can't do this. How do you possibly fit this much protein in your diet? And I was like winging it with the macros. Like, I really was winging it. Like, I was not being precise. And the way that you had the carb cycling, it was, you know, you can choose low carb days, medium carb days, higher carb days, and then the week it balances out. Well, I'd be on that last day like totally screwed because I just messed up the whole week, and then I'm trying to, you know, figure it out. And you told me, you know, just follow the macros. It will come. And I thought, okay, well, I got to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'll just try doing it. And it took me a long time, like many weeks, until I actually started following the macros and realizing the importance of following the macros, because I didn't really think that if I was 10 grams off here, 20 grams off here, yeah, whatever. It's kind of right. It's fine. But once I zoomed in and really figured that out, I think everything started to happen. And not to mention seeing in the Facebook group that other people were like losing weight and, oh, I lost an inch and this, and I'm like, but I haven't. What am I doing wrong? What's going on? And so that was really interesting. And you know, now, well, I don't know if I want to bring this up now or when we get into the bodybuilding part, but maybe when we get into the bodybuilding part.
Yeah.
I want to tell you something. I want to surprise you with something.
Oh, okay, cool. I love surprises. But I'm really glad that you kind of share your experience there, because, you know, it's something, Daria, that I see it so often. And people that don't have any experience tracking macros, the awareness comes within just a couple of days. Like, you're like, wow, I can't believe, you know, how little I was eating, how much I was eating, whatever side of the spectrum you're on. But you really do need to be precise in the beginning. And this is the biggest mistake I think people make, in that they eyeball things, they wing it, they estimate things, and they think that they're on track. And most likely, they're actually way off track. And so as a result, they're not seeing the results. Things are inconsistent, they're unpredictable, and they get really frustrated, and they're like, oh, tracking macros doesn't work. Well, what you really need to do for at least, I would say, 3 to 6 weeks, you need to be really precise. Then after that, when you build up, in intuition, you can get away with estimating things here and there if you feel like you need to or want to, but you've got to invest the time on the front end to be able to do that. And so I'm not surprised by what you experienced, but I'm really glad you shared that, because I know for a fact a lot of people that watch this are going to resonate with that.
Oh, yeah. And, you can't control when you're out and you're going to restaurants and, I'm not going to bring my scale to a restaurant. But guess what? I did on one of the trips.
Well, you just don't want it bad enough. I understand.
I tweeted, remember, from Greenfield Village in Detroit, and I said, oh, my goodness, I've turned into Dr. Jim. I brought my scale with me, or whatever.
I couldn't be prouder. Oh, absolutely. You just got to get new friends, man. It's no problem. Yeah.
So, I mean, really, it is true, like, especially in restaurants. You have no clue what you're eating. You have no clue how much butter they're putting in there. And did you know how much fat is in 1 teaspoon of butter? Mm-hmm. I used to just, like, butter up everything. My husband would say, you want some food with that butter? Like, yep. butter.
And not only that, but to take that one step further, there's like 14 grams of fat in 1 tablespoon of butter. 1 tablespoon of butter is not very much. Like, you can easily have 3 tablespoons of butter and think, oh, that's just a reasonable amount of butter, which is fine if it fits your macros, kind of the IIFYM thing, but it can really add up quickly. Totally agree.
Oh, and if you go to a restaurant, imagine the amount of oil, like I like the pad see ew noodles and broccoli and chicken at a Thai restaurant. Well, it's covered in oil. Like, who knows how many teaspoons of oil are in that? And there you're talking like probably 50 grams of fat in one meal. And if that's half of your daily intake or more than that, then that's means you really have to watch all your other meals for the day.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I totally agree. So did you want to talk about you want to get into the bodybuilding stuff now?
Sure.
Let's do it. So you did your first bodybuilding show not last summer,
May.
Just the summer that just a couple of months ago.
Yep.
So you did full throttle fat loss. You moved through the beta program. You saw some results doing that. And then you thought, hey, I'm going to get a legitimate coach, the girl that you met at the second gym, to help train you for your first bodybuilding show. And I can't wait to hear the details around this, because I remember my first bodybuilding show was in 2001, so 18 years ago, and I remember it like it happened yesterday. And so, yeah, man, lay it on us, man. So talk to us about this first bodybuilding show experience.
Sure. Well, just to clarify what you said, I didn't go seeking the bodybuilding show. I feel like it found me. Even though I said at that first gym I'd like to do this, it was kind of a goal, until I went to that second gym and they said, like, as far as I knew, I was just going to keep doing your workouts and just go to the gym. But they said, as part of joining this gym, we're giving you a complimentary session with a trainer to figure out your goals, and that we're going to put you on this scale. Well, it's once I saw those, just like you're talking about the macros, really give you an objective, precise way to figure out what you're eating. I didn't have that with the rest. So I didn't know what my body percentage fat was. I didn't know how much muscle I had. I didn't know, that kind of thing. So this scale all of a sudden gave me the numbers, and I'm a math person. I'm a numbers person. So I saw all of that. It also gave me my basal metabolic rate, which is the amount of calories your body burns if you're just laying around doing nothing. And I think when I told you what it was, you fell off your chair, because it was so high.
What was it again?
You know what? I don't remember. I think the original one was like, I just did it recently, and it was lower than I thought it was. It's about 1,500 calories. I thought it was a bit higher a few months ago. I don't know if it can change. But,
it absolutely changes. Oh, absolutely.
Okay, I thought it was
it's a dynamic thing.
I thought it was around 1,800, and I also probably was eating too little, which also was impeding some of the weight loss, because if you're starving yourself and your cortisol goes off the roof and protects your body holding on to fat. So I think having those objective measures of what is my metabolic rate, what percentage fat, I had 20% body fat. That was
by the way, just to give everyone some context, 20% body fat on a female is really, really lean. That's very in shape. So that's an excellent starting point. I just want to give people some context.
And that was after Full Throttle Fat Loss, but before training for the show.
Got it.
And whatever muscle mass, blah, 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 blah. And then when she said, oh, I looked me up and down and said I could get you there by summer, in my head, all I thought was fastest way to checklist on my bucket list. Yes, let's check it off and get it done, because, oh, it was going to be a year and a half, but now I can do it in like 5 or 6 months. I'll take it, right? That's what I was thinking. That's all I was thinking. And she was the person, and I kind of one of those people that think, oh, it happened for a reason. It fell in my lap. It must be, you know, whether that's silly of me to think that way or not, who knows? But I was like, this happened for a reason. Like I suddenly, as soon as I'm done your program, happened to get this email about this new gym, and then happened to have this trainer who happened to train another woman in her 40s to a show, and happened to have this scale here. Like, it's all way too perfect. It must be meant to be. So I'm doing it. And so, yeah, we started right off the bat, and that's where I want to bring in the surprise.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so I'm on your email list, and you sent something out the other day referring to a podcast that inspired you by Tim Keller about true wisdom. And so I decided to listen to it. And then I decided to listen to his next podcast. And then I decided to listen to his next podcast. So it was the threesome of true wisdom. And some things that he said were pretty incredible. It really popped out at me. And the one thing that I took away from it that relates to this fitness journey, and also relates to some of the work I do in autism advocacy, and the work I do with my son and coaching other parents to work with their autistic kids, all three of these things kind of blend together and really make sense for me. So he talked about how you can go to a course and learn something, and you can have this idea that you need to be a good Christian and follow these rules, or you need to follow, he talked about it as technique. And he said, it's not about technique, it's about a pathway. And I thought, yeah, that totally makes sense. Like, you can't just suddenly know that wisdom is this and then you become wise one day. It is a pathway. So being on this pathway to wisdom. So, you know, I think beforehand I was doing the techniques. I was doing techniques even that you laid out for me in Full Throttle Fat Loss. And although it started, I think I was doing techniques before, and the Full Throttle Fat Loss really changed that and set me onto this more of a pathway. And he said, you know, it really, to maintain your success, you need to be on this pathway, and the pathway includes daily practices, discipline, and consistency. And the biggest thing, no matter whether you're religious or not, having faith that the process will work. And so I think what I did was I had faith in your process in the Full Throttle Fat Loss. So that threw out the window any self-doubt or worries or, oh, this doesn't work, I'm going to quit. Like, I had already had your trust because I watched your show. I've known your story. I like Tasty Trade. I already liked you as a person. I had confidence in you and your ability. And so I had that faith. And then when I met this trainer and she showed me that picture of the other woman, and she went off about macros and hormones and this and that and cortisol and blah, blah, blah. She knows what she's talking about. I have faith in her. So that just set me on to that daily practice, discipline, and consistency that I didn't even think about. I didn't even doubt anything. I just literally went first to my local gym and followed your workout and did it, and then would go home. And then now at the new place, she had this plan for me, and I went and I followed and I did the workouts with her. And then when she wasn't there, I panicked. Oh my goodness, she's not going to be here. She's going on vacation. How am I going to do this by myself? Guess what? I did it. I did it. I just followed. She said, do this many reps of this, do this, do this. And I did the workout myself. I was like, yeah, I did it. Okay. And then I was like, I can do this. I can do this. And then following the macros that she designed specifically for my plan, which I hear you talk about as well when you're in your bulking phase, and then you're in your whatever phase, and then you're in your tapering phase, preparing for the show and all of that. So I literally just did whatever she said. So that's what really popped out to me from that podcast that related to the fitness is just having faith in the process and just continually doing it every day without even thinking. Because the second you start to think about it, I'm too tired today, I don't feel like it, and I have to go right after I drop off my little guy at school. I went to the gym, because on the days when I thought, oh, I'll go later in the afternoon, guess what, things came up, whatever, I'm tired, oh, I ate lunch too late, oh, whatever, and then I didn't work out that day. So I know myself, for me, first thing in the morning, which is crazy because I've never been a morning person my whole life until I had a child who wakes up early every day. So
there you go.
It's something different, but
yeah, there you go. No, wow, that's a great surprise. No, I mean we know each other really well. You know, I love me some Tim Keller, man. So no, that's great. I was not expecting a Tim Keller reference tonight, so that's a huge surprise. But no, what he said about it being a pathway, not a doorway, was just really profound to me too, and I'm going to use that in a lot of my content coming forward too. But so you found a trainer, you're training your tail off, right? You're going through the bulk, you're going through the cut, you're going through the taper. Like, here's what I want to make sure that we cover. I want to hear about the day of the show. So first-time bodybuilders, it's quite an experience, man. Like, I remember, and we're going to share some pictures from your show with the viewers, at least on YouTube, either on the thumbnail or as some overlays on the video or whatever. I mean, you look phenomenal. So let's go ahead and say that to begin with. Like, you look amazing. You look amazing if you were a seasoned competitor. And this was your first competition. Like,
it was all the spray tan. It was all the spray tan.
It is amazing what some dream tan and some good lighting can do for you. But you look amazing. For my first bodybuilding show, like, I literally was totally embarrassed. I looked like I didn't even belong out there. And so I was so impressed with what you were able to do. But even still, like, the experience of being backstage and pumping up and stepping out on stage with the lights being so bright and so hot. Like, talk to us about the actual day of the event and some of the things that you experienced, because I'm really curious to hear this part.
Sure. Well, let me back up a bit and just say that I was really kind of surprised and shocked at how easy the up to the show was. Because like I said, I was on that pathway. I was just doing whatever I was told. I wasn't even thinking. And it's not like training for a bodybuilding show is different than regularly working out, at least for me. Like, it was still just going to the gym, doing my bicep curls, doing my chest presses, doing my leg presses, whatever it was that I was working on that day. It was just a regular workout. And it wasn't like I was there for longer or anything like that. It was still like a 50-minute weights, and then if I had cardio, I actually didn't do very much cardio, but if you did some cardio.
Lucky, man. You're so lucky.
Well, it's because I had done the cardio in the full throttle fat loss in
there
the fall,
you go.
I guess.
So you're not so lucky. I got you there. Yep.
And, she really wanted to bulk me up at the beginning and get that muscle there because we were on a fast track. So ideally, starting in January, I would have done a show in July, like say next week. And there is a show coming up in about 10 days that I thought would have been perfect. But my son had 2 weeks off between school and summer camp, and we always go away for 2 weeks. So I was in Chicago and all around, and I thought, I cannot be that close to my show on vacation in America with all the food that I enjoy eating on the trip and trying to, measure in this, no way. So it's going to have to be before middle of June. Well, there's a show half hour from my house on June 8th or whatever it was. Oh, that's the one and only weekend my husband has an entire Warhammer tournament booked that, dozens of people from all over the place are traveling to attend because he's a gamer and he runs a game store. So it can't be that weekend. Well, the only other one is May 11th, 2 hours away from here in the same city where I went to university. Cool, I'll do that one. So it's like, whoa, okay, January to May. And I even told you the date. You were like, whoa, that's fast. Mm-hmm. You were shocked too. Mm-hmm. But she said, even, I really didn't even know until the beginning of April if I was going to be able to do it because my trainer is very detail oriented, and she said, we got to keep tracking this, and I'll let you know if you're going to be ready or not. We have to see how your body responds. We have to see, what what's happening and if you can stick with your meal plan, because she gave me some examples of clients of hers. Some of them didn't stick with their plans, some of them did. So let's see if you can do it, because once, I think it was middle of March or something, I went on a rigid meal plan that I ate the exact same thing every day, and it was lots of food and, you know, ground beef and steak and lots of eggs and this and that. So it was very fulfilling, but it was boring. And actually that was the easiest for me, because I didn't have to worry about what I was going to cook and what macros. I just ate the same thing every day for about 6 to 8 weeks. And once she saw all of that, she said, okay, yes, you're going to be ready. We can do it. Oh, and I also had a setback in February. I had a cold and this and that for like 3 weeks. I missed a bunch of workouts. So it's like, oh, but better to have it happen earlier than later. So anyway, that process was easier than I thought. Then comes, oh, the show. What do I have to do for the show? Oh, you need a suit. Okay. And I could give you the serious version, or I can give you the stand-up comedy routine, because that's the version I gave my mom and my aunt, and they were like keeled over laughing uncontrollably for like a half hour telling the story about this. I'll
take whatever you want to tell us. I'll take whatever you want to do.
I'll probably do somewhere in between. It was really, really amusing to me, because when I saw the suits that I had to wear, I was like, oh, okay. And then I found out that it's custom made, and then you got to find a person who makes it, and then you find out how much it costs. Like, holy crap, I got to pay that. And it's not like it's a bathing suit that you can then wear. It's like material with fancy jewel stones on it and fancy this and that, and you can't even stick it in the washing machine. Like, it's a one-time, hundreds of dollars out the window kind of purchase. And so it's probably different for men. Actually, you may or may not know all of the stuff that we have to go through as women for the show.
I don't. I've never trained a female competitor. I actually don't train female competitors, and so I see them at the show all the time, and I have some idea what probably goes into the process. But no, for men, it's much, much easier. Like, we buy our suits, they sell them like in bulk, like down the street. Like, it's not that difficult to get one. And so, no, there's no custom made anything. No.
Well, I got one that one woman had worn once and returned, and it happened to fit me and happened to be the color that I wanted for $200. A woman at the show that I met after the show, and we sat down and talked and shared our stories and very similar journeys, she paid $600 for hers. So it's ridiculous. Now, mind you, that's Canadian money, so that's really only.
So that's like $18 then. Right?
Yeah, okay, something like that. So anyway, then, you're going to have to learn how to pose. You need to get the heels. So basically, we have to buy stripper shoes, and I'm not exaggerating. They're literally stripper shoes. And so I don't ever wear high heels. I mean, I have a few heels that I'll wear, if I'm going to a wedding or something. I've only been to like one wedding in 10 years, I think. But I had to buy these shoes. They were not that expensive. They were under $100, and surprisingly comfortable. that kind of surprised me too. But then she's like, okay, we're going to start posing in between sets. So once I started learning, okay, you got to do the front pose, like the way you stand, and I'm up on my toes I can't, now I already forget it. It was 2 months ago. The front pose, and then you have to do a quarter turn, and then you've got to do the side, and then quarter turn back so they can see your lats spread out and this and that. She's like, flex your lats. And I'm like, what the hell does that mean? What are my lats? I can't feel them. I don't know what to do. Now I can do it. I can feel them flexed right now. But learning the poses, and then I was like, whoa, this is way harder than I thought. I mean, I used to be an aerobics teacher. I did jazz dance and everything. Like, I'm coordinated, but this is going to take a while to learn. She said, don't worry. Like, we're just going to keep doing it over and over. It'll come. And just like the pathway thing, discipline, consistency, daily practice, I was like, oh, okay. I got the hang of it by the end. So learning the poses, figuring out the suit and the shoes, that was a whole experience, even more so than the workout and whatever. But then signing up for the show, that to me was a big eye opener, because hair and makeup package, and spray tan, and then photographer, because they don't allow photos in the show unless with your phone or whatever. But I thought, no, I'm doing this, I'm going to get professional photos, right? So you have to hire their photographer. So that's another couple $100. And then hotel for 2 nights, and then this, that. I'm like, holy cow, this is like a big investment, more than I realized, not to mention all the personal training you're paying for and all of that. But still, it's like, whatever, it's a goal. In 10 years from now, I'm not going to remember the money that I spent. I'm going to remember the experience, and that's what I'm going for. So that was fine. So then I find out, so the show is on a Saturday. You have to arrive on Friday. When you get there, you get your spray tan. And then the next morning, you get hair and makeup, and then a second redo of your spray tan. So I find out that, you know, my spray tan's in the afternoon. So sure enough, I get there, and the spray tan, holy cow, that was quite the eye-opening experience.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I don't know what they do for you guys, but what they did for us is they throw you into a hotel room with all these tents, and you know, she had said, don't worry, they're professionals, it's private. It's not that private. There's like a tent with 3 sides. It's totally wide open. They're like, take off all your clothes, put your stuff there, come in. Okay. They spray you down. It's freezing cold. You're like, ah. And like, okay, this arm up, this leg out, this leg out. Okay, turn over, bend over, stick your butt out. And they're spraying you all over. And then meanwhile, there's other girls walking around. My glasses are off, so all I see is like a bunch of boobs going by. It was really weird. It was very strange. Then they walk you around, and you got to stand in front of this fan, like totally nude, drying off. Now, mind you, there's only other women in there that are also doing it, so it's not like random strangers see you. But it was still very uncomfortable. Like, I don't even walk around my own house naked, let alone in front of strangers. It was a little odd. So that was quite a crazy experience. And then the next day, you wake up, you have to shower. Oh, you have to bring black sheets to the hotel. You have to wear black clothes that aren't loose so that your tan isn't going to rub off and stain all the hotel towels and sheets. So there's another investment. And then you got to be careful, right? Like, oh, if I wiped my hands on the hand towel, I was like, it turned brown, right? So it's like little crazy things like that was the eye-opening experience for me doing the show. And then the next morning, like taking the shower where you rinse off and you see all this tan stuff, and you're like, ew, and then you're pat dry, and then you go down, and they had me scheduled for hair and makeup at 3:30 a.m. when the show starts at 10, and all the men are first, and who knows when the women would go on. I'm like, 3:30 a.m. So I somehow, even though you're not allowed to change it, managed to talk them into changing it, and I got a 6 a.m. So I was like, okay, cool. I can do 6 a.m. So hair and makeup, that was an experience too, because you can see I'm not a makeup person. Like, I got a little bit of makeup on, but you should see the pictures. I'll have to send you one. Like, the foundation is caked on your face, and it's literally like stage makeup. And then the hair, like teasing it all up in the back, and hairspray, gallons of hairspray. And when I showed some of my friends the pictures, they're like, I wouldn't even recognize you if you're walking down the street. Like, it totally transforms your look. And looking in the mirror up close was literally disgusting. Like, me and the other girls were laughing about it, how gross we looked, because you could see it looked like your entire face was hairy, because any little blonde fuzz hairs that you have stick out from all the foundation and makeup. And it was, you could see like everything crinkly and wrinkly, and it was like awful. But then when you see the pictures, wow, it looks amazing, right? So it was so weird. Like, that to me was the weirdest part beyond all the bodybuilding stuff. And then finally, you're all prepped and you're ready, and it's time to do the show. And so I was just shocked. So, you know, luckily my trainer was with me. Otherwise, I don't know what I would have done. But she's there, and she's, okay, now let's pump. She's got the bands. We're doing these pumping, and here, you get 1 bite of rice cake. Let me see your legs. Okay, and 1 tablespoon of jam, or whatever. She's like getting me ready, and whatever it was. And then, you know, we go behind the stage, and then they do the touch-up tan thing, and then, the best part, the bikini, what's it called? Bikini bite. It's like
I use bikini bite. I use bikini bite at my shows.
To stick your bikini to your butt, so you're like standing
I use bikini bite at every single show. Yeah.
Okay, that was hilarious in itself. Just seeing everybody get their bathing suit glued to their butt. So then it's like, this is just too weird and hilarious. I can't believe people do this, and that I'm doing it, but it's hilarious. I just had a good sense of humor about it all. And then boom, you're in line, and they're like, number so. I just happened to my contestant number was number 1, I was like, oh, this can't be good because there's no way I'm coming in first. Like, I had told my trainer, I don't care if I come in last. I just want to do it. I don't care. I'm not going to place or be competitive. So, and then they give me number 1. I was like, oh, you know, there's no way I'm going to be first. So it's uncomfortable. Anyway, they're like, number 1, number 10, number 18, number whatever, line up. And then boom, like all of a sudden you're on stage. I was like, whoa, what happened? What do I do? What do I do? They're like, you're going to go out and you're going to walk and do your own poses. And then you come back and then all 4 of you are going to go out and you're going to do they're going to tell you like quarter turn to the right, quarter turn to the right, quarter turn to the right, front pose or whatever. And then you're going to come back this way. Well, the first time I went on, I walked onto the stage, did my poses, and then kept walking that way. So that's the wrong way. I'm supposed to come back. So oops, that's okay. It's just the pre-show in the morning. There's not really many people there watching. And then when I go up with the group, they're like front pose, quarter turn to the right, and I do my casual pose. And they're going number 1, side pose, number 1, side pose, number 1, looking to the side. And I was like, oh, that's me. And I was like, I was doing my casual pose instead of my side pose. I was like, okay, I'm going to be on the stage 7 more times. I'm sure that won't hurt me, whatever. So then we go off. I was like, that was crazy. And then boom, I was up again because for those of you that know about trading, Dr. Jim said, increase your occurrences. I was like, you know, I'm eligible for like 5 categories, but you have to pay $100 for each category you join. He's like, no, you got to increase your occurrences. Join all the ones you can. The more chances you get to bring home some hardware, whatever, it's fun. And I'm so glad that I entered 4. I thought, why wouldn't I when I've done all this work? So it was like one after the other. Okay, I get off stage now, I'm in line again for the next one. So I go up again and I felt like they were just announcing my name over and over again. And then finally I got more comfortable with the poses and everything. But when you're up there, all I was doing is trying to remember, like, stick out your butt, suck in your gut, stick out your chest, move, don't have stiff hands, because my thing was I always looked like a robot or a puppet, right? And she's like, no, relax the hands. So all these things in my head, like I'm checking from head to toe. Make sure this is up, make sure your shoulders back, make sure your stomach's in, stick that butt out farther, you know, flex whatever, flex your butt, flex this. So that's all I was thinking every single time I was posing, to just make sure I was doing the poses right. So
was your coach actually in the crowd shouting things out to you? Because oftentimes I've seen that done before, like, hey, number 1, squeeze your legs. Hey, number 1, squeeze your lats, or whatever.
She had told me that with a previous client, she would yell, abs, abs, abs. But we thought that that's what would be happening. But I actually, if she was doing that, I didn't hear her. And she was way at the back, and she had my phone, and she was taking movies and pictures for me. But yeah, at the pre-show, you basically go through the whole thing once, and then you have the whole day until the evening. And then in the evening, you do the exact same thing all again. And that's when all the people are there. So I didn't even know that, even though it was written down and even though she told me. In my head, I hadn't understood that process, that you go through this whole thing in the morning, but it's not really the show yet. I guess I don't even know why they do that. Is just to get a feel for who's in the show, or?
It's honestly just convention. Some bodybuilding shows do it all straight through. That's kind of a newer thing where they just do it all straight through. It's still kind of traditional convention to break it up, though, pre-judge and then the evening show.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually good because it was like a dress rehearsal for the evening. And by the time the evening came around, even though it was kind of boring sitting around all day and waiting and not knowing how much you could eat when, and luckily I knew because my trainer was there and said, let me see your legs. Okay, you can have this many bites of this. Then I was able to go to the show and feel more confident. I was like, okay, now I know. Last time it went so fast, I'm going to be back there sooner. And I'm going to be waiting sooner because it felt too rushed this morning or whatever. And then it was, yes, it was very weird when you walked out there, and this time there's a whole audience staring at, right? But it's almost like you don't even notice that. Like, it's almost like it's, I don't know. I don't think I was that nervous. It just seems surreal. The whole thing seemed surreal to me. It was really, really strange.
Yeah, no, that it's interesting that you brought that up because I would totally agree with that. I can't remember if I was nervous or not during my first competition, but it was absolutely surreal. Like, you're out there, and then before you know it, like, it's over. Like, you're off stage. Now, you went out several times, and I did too back in my first show, but it's crazy. Like, it all happened so fast. It's kind of like playing sports, like being on the field for the first time, where you're like, wow, it all just happened so fast. Like, I don't remember anything. Like you said, you don't remember if your coach was shouting at you or not. Like, that's so normal for so many first-time competitors. It's really cool to hear.
Yeah, and I do remember seeing people smiling at me, and I thought, okay, I'll just try and make eye contact with a few people and smile, and then a few of the judges, like, I smiled and looked at them. I wasn't sure if you're supposed to look at them or not, whatever. But yeah, it was fine, and I have to say, once it was all done, I was like, ah. And then the best part of the night was going in the shower for like an hour and just watching all the hairspray and makeup and tan and everything wash off, and scrubbing 8,000 times and like feeling clean, and finally going to bed and like, I'm clean. I don't need black sheet. Actually, I did keep the black sheets on because that's the other weird thing. For 2 or 3 weeks after the show, you have this weird peeling. It's not literally peeling, but it looks like peeling tan everywhere, like splotchy, weird.
Oh, absolutely.
And it stays on your feet longer than everywhere else. I guess you don't scrub your feet as much as the rest of your body. And so that was very strange too. So the whole thing to me was almost like a comedic experience, where I was just like sort of laughing and enjoying every minute of it. And it couldn't have gone better. I mean, in the end, I placed third, and second in the over 45. There was only 2 women. I came in second out of 2, but hey, I came in second. I got a silver medal. I didn't expect to win anything, and here I came home with 3 souvenirs, and that was awesome for me. It was really fun.
Man, that's amazing. What a great experience. And I've met so many people that have said, I'm going to do a show, I'm going to do a show, I'm going to do a show, and they never get out there. And there's a million reasons why you would never get out there. And it's not to say that, only people who are serious about fitness get out there on stage. That's not true either. But I just have so much respect, having now competed for a long, long time myself. I have so much respect for people that pony up and they get out there. And you're right. It's not about how you place. It really isn't. Like, I know it's cliche to say that, but it's really true. Like, it's about the process. It's about the pathway. And now you've got some amazing stories from the spray tan thing and just the cost and just everything. That's just so, so amazing. So what I want to do right now, this has just been such an incredible interview. I want you to wrap it up. So people out there, this could be for just females if you want it to be, or it could be for anyone. Somebody who's really serious about fitness, but they just don't know where to start. They don't know what to do. What advice would you have for them right here?
Yeah, this is the hard part, because everybody's so different. And I forgot the best part of the story was getting to eat the first meal.
Absolutely. What was your first meal? What was your go-to treat meal right after a bodybuilding show? This is going to tell us a lot about you as a person.
Actually, it wasn't really my choice, because they had a free after party at this place called Moxie's across the street, and it's like this big, huge, like an Applebee's type chain or something like that. I think it's better than Applebee's, but it was this big, huge thing, and they just had a bunch of hors d'oeuvres out. So I should send you the picture of the plate that I had, but it was a few pieces of pizza, it was a few chicken wings, it was some kind of hummus and some kind of salad and some kind of like little bits of everything, and then I had with me my 2 Easter chocolates, my Laura Secord chocolate mint bar. I think Laura Secord is a Canadian chain, and some other chocolate that I'd been saving since Easter. I was like, yes, I get to eat it. And the girl beside me that I met, and we had very similar stories, and she was about my age and same kind of path, although she lost 28 pounds. She's like looking at my chocolate, and I was like, you have to share this with me. So I gave her half, and she was like, it was so funny. Like, she said to her husband, we're going to the hotel store and getting me some chocolate when we get back to the hotel. Like, it was
that's so funny. That's so good.
Yeah, that was amazing. And we didn't even talk about the reverse diet, but that could be for another day. Then you have to slowly build up your calories again.
That is absolutely for another day.
And it was harder than any of the stuff we've talked about.
It's harder than cutting. People don't believe it. But reverse dieting is unequivocally harder than dieting. And dieting is not easy, as you now know from firsthand experience.
Well, and just quickly, the reason why it's so hard is because you're finally hit your goal and it's done, and you think,
that's right,
I don't have to worry anymore. But then you're like, no, you still have to you know, oh, I can only have this many carbs, I can only have this much fat, I can only, and then a week later, oh, a little bit more, and then a week later, a little bit more. Well, that's when I was on vacation too, and it's like, that went out the window, deep dish pizza, Grater's ice cream, all this stuff. So anyway, it was very interesting. I actually lost weight on my reverse diet. Then I gained a bit of weight when I went to Chicago, and now I'm back to my all-time low from post-show. But this weekend I'm coming to Chicago to see you guys at Geeks, and maybe
Absolutely.
I'll get a few pounds back. We'll see. But okay, so let me wrap it up by saying that some of the work I do for autism advocacy and coaching parents is a lot to do with self-regulation. So autistic children and a lot of kids in general have a problem when their emotions overcome them and they're dysregulated and they're tantruming, and we want to help co-regulate with them so that through the relationship they can feel safe and calm down together to the point where as they develop they're able to regulate themselves. So, you know, if Penelope falls and scrapes her knee, she might scream her head off, but she's able to calm down and self-regulate. And so in that whole realm of self-regulation is it really killed a myth for me about willpower. And so this is what I would say for advice to people. People often think doing this is about having willpower. And, oh, if I have more willpower, I'll be able to stay on my diet. I'll be able to follow my fitness plan. But what the self-regulation research teaches us is that it's not at all about willpower. It is about identifying your stressors. Because when you said it perfectly, everybody can do well on day 1. What can you do on day 100? And to take that over to stress, when I'm in a great mood, I'm an awesome mother. What happens when I'm stressed out? Someone cut me off. I'm on my period. I'm had somebody yell at me. I had this and that, and I'm like ready to kill someone. And then my kid has a tantrum. Do you think I'm going to be calm and regulated and be able to calm my kid? Or, you know, like even if someone cuts you off on the road and you're in the middle of a conversation with the passenger, do you think you can continue that conversation, or you need a minute to sort of regulate, right? So a lot of us think that we can will ourselves to do something, and it's really not about that. It's about identifying all the different stressors in your life and what's making it difficult for you to stick to your goals. So it may be that the reason why you're finding it so hard is because maybe you are not getting enough sleep, or whatever it is. If you're not getting enough sleep, you're so tired that when you get to the gym, you just feel awful when you're working out or whatever. And I'm just making it up. I should have thought of good examples to give, but that's what the self-regulation research teaches us is about willpower. And same thing, you know, like people of faith are praying away. Like I'm praying that my urges to be sinful go away, or give me the strength. But instead, you should really be praying to help you identify and eliminate the stress in your life. And if you can understand, what can I do to just take this one load of stress off of me? For my husband and I, it was hiring a cleaning lady because that caused a lot of stress. His definition of keeping things clean and tidy, very different than mine. So while we both keep things clean and tidy, the pace and speed with which we do it at is very different. Like, so hiring a cleaning lady, we're not nitpicking at each other anymore, and that's a stressor lifted off of us. So that's just one example that I thought of. And just finally, to wrap it up with finance, because that's your third F, and I'm a trader too. When you have a trade that's too big, it's going to cause you so much stress. So you're not going to have willpower to be mechanical because you're stressed out about the money that you're losing because you've traded too big. So I would say that rather than focusing on how do I get started, just take a look at those things. Like what stresses are in my life that are giving me the reason to make excuses for why I can't do it right now. Because you can make a choice and stick to it. But if you're finding it difficult to stick to, don't beat yourself up. There's a reason why you're not able to stick to it, and it's stress. And stress doesn't have to be somebody just died, or my husband just left me, or my child just got cancer, or something huge. Stressors could be simple. Like I said, like you just aren't getting enough sleep, or I need to hire a cleaning lady, or financial stresses, like I have less hours at work, so I'm worried about my money all the time. Identifying the stressors and really making a plan for yourself that you feel like you can stick to, I think, is the best way to start if you're stumbling.
Wow, that's really good. I've never really thought about it that way, but it's so, listening to you unpack it just really, like, a lot of bells went off in my head, because I'm like, wow, you're really attacking the root. You're really trying to go right to the core of what's going on, not necessarily the effect. You're trying to talk and address the cause. The sleep issue, the stress issue. What is, you keep making these excuses. Well, why do you think you keep making these excuses? Like, what might be in your life that's consistently causing you to make these excuses? And as a result, you're not getting started. Right? When you know that deep down in your heart, or whatever the case may be, you just really want to transform your physique, but you're just not getting started. And I love that, man, thinking about the stress issue. That's great.
And let me just give one more example to really drive the point home. This comes from working with autistic kids and a behavioral way of looking.
I've got that. Wow, that's going to be something. So, okay, so you're out. So go ahead.
Okay, so hopefully you'll find the file. But and one more thing I wanted to add, Dr. Jim, to sort of bring it home, is that when you think about autistic children, or even toddlers, when they are stressed out and they're having a tantrum and they're melting down, the worst thing to do, and yet so many of us do it, is we focus on the behavior. Stop that. What's wrong? What are you doing? You're okay. You're okay. When really it's stress. Almost all autistic kids have so many sensitivities. It might be the fluorescent lights have gotten to them. It might be the noise of kids around them. It might be a fan that's buzzing. It could be the chair they're sitting on is bothering their body. We don't know what it is, but it's causing them to melt down. And once they melt down, even a neurotypical toddler, for instance, or anybody who melts down, you're not in control anymore. Your limbic system has taken over. You're in red brain. And to try and talk rationally at that point is useless. So that's when you want to come in and join and have compassion and empathy and figure out, why is he melting down? What's going on with him? How can I help him? And sort of co-regulate by just being there with them and being that calm person next to them. So why wouldn't we do that with ourselves? When we realize, oh, I didn't get to the gym, instead of focusing on the behavior, I didn't go to the gym, beat yourself up. Oh, I'm such a loser. Oh, I didn't do it. I'm a failure. That person's doing so well, but I failed. I can't do it. Oh, it's not working for me. It must not be the right program for me. Instead of beating yourself up, why not have that same compassion and empathy with ourselves, like we with a child? Like, I'm not in control of my behavior. Something is making me not go to the gym, and let's figure out what those stressors are. Just like with the kids, the stressor was that his sister was kicking him under the table the whole time. That's why he couldn't focus, or whatever it was that was causing it. Same thing with us. So it's easier to think about when you think about kids, but really we need to do that same thing with ourselves and not beat ourselves up, because it amazes me, the older I get, the more I understand that every adult is a little child inside hurting from something that happened to them, that they have had this negative loop in their head telling them that they're not enough and they're not good enough and they're not this. And when you start to explore that and get into personal development or whatever it is, if it's the Tim Keller lectures that are, whatever your avenue and your pathway is, to start to understand and have compassion for yourself and try and figure out those stressors, and so that you can be regulated. Once you're regulated and once you're on that pathway, discipline, daily practice, consistency really is just flows. It's just, you wake up and you do it. You don't even think about it. So that was all I wanted to say about that.
Wow. I mean, I can't possibly add anything to that. Like, that is such an incredible way to end this interview. So Daria, wow, thank you so much for talking about fitness. Thank you for talking about, your experience on Full Throttle Fat Loss, your first bodybuilding show. You know, we weaved a little bit of faith in there. We talked about, obviously, your work with your son and autism. And it's just, wow, man, what a powerful, powerful interview. Thank you so much. I know that I know my audience is going to absolutely love this.
That's awesome. And if anyone is interested, my website is affectautism.com, AFFECT, affect. We use affect with each other with our children. So that's why it's called affectautism.com. And I do lots of podcasts myself with a lot of different experts. So I hope people will check that out if they have someone in their life that would help with. And I wanted to thank you for having me as a guest, Dr. Jim, because it's you were definitely the inspiration, the reason why I did this show when I did it. You kicked off the whole thing for me, so I appreciate it.
Oh wow, I'm really humbled by that. That's thank you for sharing that with me. So thank you very much, Daria, and we'll talk to you later.
Great, thank you.